modeling friends. Well, then we start the build of the Revell F4U-4 Corsair in 1:72 scale, as part of my video series about starting with scale model building as a hobby. Here we have all the sprues in the kit. And the first step in the building process is to wash the sprues in lukewarm water with a dash of washing up liquid. Easily done with a brush, like a toothbrush. This is done to remove any oils or release agents used during the injection molding. This improves the adhesion of paints. An important step is to rinse in clear water so no soap residues are left. Lukewarm water is good, just don't use warm water as that can warp the parts. Then we let the parts dry completely. When removing the parts, don't wiggle them off, but you should use some sort of cutting pliers. Here is a sprue cutter. It is especially made to get a close and clean cut. You could also use a regular small side cutter. This will work, but not as good. You don't get as clean cut. When you have the part cut off, you clean the remaining leftover part of the sprue inlet with a sharp modeling knife to get a clean and smooth surface. You could use sandpaper or a file as well, but most often cutting and scraping with a knife will be sufficient. When you have small parts, you can choose to cut them off the sprue or paint them in place. This depends on the part, if there are any good place to hold it while painting, for example. If painting in place on the sprue, there will of course be some missing spots when later cutting it off. This has to be touched up later. So I usually cut off the parts and attach them to something for the painting process. In the bottom here we can see some flash, easily removed by scraping with a modeling knife. Also, the seam lines can usually be scraped off in the same manner. These two parts should go together like this, but the fit is not perfect. It is really good to dry fit the parts first and adjust to a good fit. There we go. Here we see that we have two decals on this part. Good to check first. So here, for example, if I choose to attach part number 13 and number 11 first, is it still possible to apply the decal or not? I want to do a step away from the building instruction and attach the parts before applying the decals. And as can be seen on the decal, there is a cutout so it can be applied after the parts are assembled. To remove this part, I choose to cut where the part is thin, and then I do a little trick that I like. I cut in the sprue, and then I more easily can see and get access when cutting off the actual part from the sprue. This is a tiny part. I guess it's a gun sight, as it will be quite visible in the canopy. I clean up the seam line and then dry fit to see that it goes together as intended. Liquid extra thin cement is really good, easy to work with. For a part like this, assemble the parts and then apply some small amount of thin cement. Best if it can be applied to the back of the parts. The cement is drawn into the gap between the parts. Plastic cement works in the way that it dissolves the plastic a little in the joint. The plastic melts somewhat in the joint and the parts are joined. Important to let any excess just dry up completely and not touch it. As the gap's a little bit big, I add a little bit more cement to get a good joint. Small parts like these are very difficult to hold when painting. I use Faber-Castell Tack It. It doesn't leave any oily residues as other brands can do. Try before use. I attach the part to something like a popsicle stick and attach the part to preferably the surface later to be glued. You don't want any paint where the joint is anyway. And then we're ready for priming the parts. Then a little primer to get good adhesion and also easy to see any imperfections that need to be corrected. Just a couple of quick thin coats is needed, and then we let them dry.
I think about you all the time, babe, 24/7. I wish that you could say the same, but it's not ever mutual. No, it's just the usual. I care too much. You don't care enough. I'm kinda used to it by now. I don't expect return. I willingly allow myself to give what I deserve. It's true. I give it all to you. You don't seem to care, and that's not fair. Wish I could tell how you feel instead of feeling ignored. If you don't appreciate me now, tell me, what am I staying for? I'm good at acting like I'm fine, and then I write these songs, but I can get over dramatic, and I'm the one who's wrong sometimes. But if you could reply in just once, that'd be enough. I respect that you have a life, and you know I've got mine too. But did it ever cross your mind that a part of my life is you? I know my doubt can take control. Need you to say that we're okay. Wish I could tell how you feel instead of feeling ignored. If you don't appreciate me now, tell me, what am I staying for? Yeah. What am I staying for? I put in way too much effort. Guess you thought that you could let up, but even that wasn't enough to make you stay. And I can't help but feel so stupid, and I know that I'll get through this. We both know I didn't.
For gluing small part is often enough to hold the parts together for just a little time. Now I did a small mistake, got some cement on my finger and touched the part. Important to let it dry, then it can be sanded off. If you're doing something now, it will only be worse.